Welcome everybody. Welcome to Vancouver Rape Relief 2020 Montreal Massacre Memorial. My name is Florence and I'm a collective member of Vancouver Rape Relief. I'm really happy to be here. As you might know, this year we're hosting a series of 12 online events. You can find our full program on our website at rapereliefshelter.bc.ca. We are live on Facebook and on Zoom for today's event. Which is our conversation with Mani Chacaby, the author of the excellent book, A TwoSpirit Journey, the autobiography of a lesbian Ojibwa Cree elder. And so just before we start with our questions, I wanted to introduce you to the book and the topic of today. And if you were there yesterday, we hosted a conversation with different feminists on the books that were important for them. And important for them in their lives and important for them in their activism. And today I'm sharing a book that was important for me. Earlier this year, I found Mani's book on a Vancouver Public Library list of recommended books. And I was very curious of the title. And I was surprised. I loved the book. I couldn't put it down. It moved me profoundly. And right away, I reached out to my collective and I told them, you need to read this book. You need to talk to this woman and we need to interview her. So we bought copies and a bunch of us read it. And then we contacted Mani and she said yes to speaking with us. So we're very pleased to have her. And my collective members found the same elements that I did in the book. I think they liked it too. I found a life story that is very consistent with the lives of the women that call our crisis line. Some of the things that Mani experienced or talks about really reflects what the women we are working with tell us. So the biography is written chronologically. It starts from part of Mani's mother's and grandmother's life. And we then learn about Mani's childhood and we really get to know what I found a playful and intelligent little girl that loves to spend time outside and is very fond of her grandmother who raised her. And then we go to different stages of her life, from escaping a violent marriage with her children to living with a disability, fostering many children, living a lesbian life, and working with marginalized groups. So before we get with the questions that I have for Mani, I wanted to share this great book with you. So we are doing a draw for those of you who are listening. So send us a private message on Facebook or an email at info@rapereliefshelter.bc.ca and we will add your name to the draw. But make sure that you mention that you want Mani's book because we have another draw going on from yesterday's. So otherwise we'll just put you for another great book, which is This Bridge Called My Back. So send us a message on Facebook or in our email address. And you can also on Facebook and on Zoom in the chat or in the comment section on Facebook, write your questions for Mani, and at the end, we'll try to ask her a couple of your questions. So now is the time to introduce you to Mani. So hi, Mani, thank you so much for being here. I'm really glad that you accepted our invitation. And I'm really glad that some of us are joining us in the conversation here on Facebook and on Zoom. So first, tell us a little bit about your childhood. Where did you grow up? Who is your family?
Well, I was born in Thunder Bay, and my grandmother found out I was born, and my mom, my real mother, gave birth to me and gave me up for adoption. Then my grandmother found out that she had me and she wanted to raise me, even though she wasn't able to raise me. She was old. She was in her 90s, late 90s. So she got her friend, her helper, to help her get me. So they found me 2 years just before the adoption started. The adoption started, but the papers didn't go through yet. It was almost going through when she stopped it and said, well, I want to adopt her. I want to take her back home. So she got me just in time. I was already on the list for adoption. So she unadopted me, and the the foster parents that was looking after me unadopt me to give my grandmother me back to her because they felt sorry for her because she was so old and she was looking for her first granddaughter, not great, but first granddaughter from one of her children. So here I was. I came home with my grandmother and she raised me in a little community between Nakina and Armstrong on the CN railway line of the north. That's where the north begins. Everybody thinks Thunder Bay is north, but it's not. We're close to south.
Right. Ontario is quite big.
Yes. They don't know their they don't know the map. They don't know the history of it. So we're our neighbors is Duluth, Minnesota, and Michigan. So those are our next door neighbors.
And from an early age, your grandmother, and you tell this in the book, she tells you that you are two-spirit and that you're gonna have a hard time in life. At the time, what did that meant for you? And now, how do you understand it now?
Well, when she told me when I was 4 years old, I was really scared and I thought, oh, but then I also was excited. I thought it was something that was really, really beautiful. Because she said, these people, you belong with these people. They are two-spirit people that live in this community, but people are giving them hard time. Each year she would remind me, every year she would say, you are two-spirit. And I think I was about 10 when I finally asked her, I was 11 or 12. When I got my first moose, I asked her what two-spirit people look like. And she told me, do you remember those people that you got scared of, those two women that were living together with 5 kids? You used to play with those kids. And I thought, oh, and then you got scared of that other lady because she talked pretty big and tough. You said she scared you. She was also a woman. There were 2 women living together raising 5 kids. Oh, and that's your people. That's your kind of people, she told me. That's the two-spirit people. That's what you're going to be facing with when you grow older. You have to find them. And I said, but then I thought, well, okay. Then when I got older, I had crushes on girls all the times, but I still didn't relate to two-spirit, me having crushes with girls, but I didn't know why I was like that. So I kept thinking I was the only strange person to feel that way. Then I met a guy who lived in same community. We're both teenagers, we're both kids, and I was a tomboy, so him and I got along really well. We used to go sit on top of the rock and watch girls go by, but he was watching the boys, I was watching the girls. So that's what we were doing, eyeing on which one we were going to marry. Our dreams, because we were the only 2 people that was like that. And a lot of kids thought we were boyfriend and girlfriend, like lovers, little kids lovers, but we weren't. We were just best friends. And heck, people would tell us to kiss each other. We hated each other. We didn't want to kiss each other. We're best friends. You don't kiss your best friend. I mean, that's what I was brought up. You don't kiss your best friend. You love your best friend.
Yeah.
You could kiss your best friend on a cheek or something, but you don't do anything else with your best friend. That's what I grew up with. That was my thought of life. So anyway, we grew up together as little kids in the hood, causing trouble, causing problems. But we also started our journey together in doing sniffing and doing drugs, sniffing gas. That's what we were doing because we got introduced to alcoholism in our community, and it was bad in our community. Also, we got to meet 60 scoops happenings. All the kids were taken away. There was only a few of us left that wasn't taken away. We were not taken away because we happened to not be there at the time when the train came and stopped and picked up a whole bunch of kids. My little brother went, my older sister went. I was in a bush in a trapping ground with my dad. Then when we got home, there was no kids left in the neighborhood. And there was only a few bigger kids that was left. But they were also happened to be gone, or they were hidden really badly. They hid them when they heard they were grabbing kids. So
Did you understand what happened at the time, or?
no, we didn't know. My mom told us that they threw paper in our house, told us that from the government, we got to take this girl and that little boy, and that was it. And they screamed and tried to grab them, but they were just taken out. Put in a train, that was it. No explanation. All they did was, there was 6 of them, I think 6, those guys with the funny hat, she said, Humphrey Bogart's hat and long trench coats. Those were the people that came and got the kids. And they delivered piece of paper, long paper saying they were picking the kids up. They knew how much they had in that house, but they couldn't find me because my grandmother didn't really register me yet then.
Right. And so today, how do you understand what it means or what it does it mean to you to be Two-Spirit?
Well, to me being Two-Spirit, I like my Two-Spirit life. I am very happy with my Two-Spirit life. I don't see it as a bad thing. I don't see it as part of it. I'm a lesbian, but I see my Two-Spirit side more spiritual. I don't like it when I hear non-Anishinaabe, non-native persons saying they're Two-Spirit when they don't fit the criteria. They're not native, so they don't fit in that category. They shouldn't use that word Two-Spirit. Two-Spirit is not about being gay. It's not about being, well, it could be that too. It's not the way that, on my own, this is my opinion. Two-Spirit is very, we're all human-like, but we have our set of things that we believe in, that we were given this strange thing that we have in our body, mind, and soul, that we are Two-Spirit. And for my part, I'm very spiritual about my Two-Spirit life.
Right.
That's why it bugs me when I hear somebody say, well, I'm a Two-Spirit, because Two-Spirit sounds better than gay. Right?
Yeah.
I was always honest with people, say I'm a lesbian woman and I am a Two-Spirit person, because to me, Two-Spirit is very spiritual to me, for my part. I don't know how other people see their Two-Spirit life. I know Two-Spirit people were treated very, very highly when they were born, and before we were told we were not supposed to be like that. Before white folks came and told us, oh, you're not allowed to be that way anymore. You're an Anishinaabe and you're a savage. When they told us we're savages, well, and that there was only one God, and there was a white God coming from another lake, big, far away from another country, is coming in, and that is your government, that is that person that's going to tell you who you are. And that you're no longer Anishinaabe, that you have to learn the white way of life. You have to be like us. You have to talk English. No more language, no more native language. You have to get rid of all your bundles, and no more powwows, no more nothing. When my grandmother used to tell those stories, when she was 4 years old, she was told she couldn't be any one of those. In her mind, she said, I'm going to pretend I'm not going to be. I'm going to follow them, pretend. So she grew up pretending to be those people. She pretended to go to church. She went to church, pretend to believe in the church. Then every child she raised, she told them, don't believe anything what you hear. Because when we were told that God is going to get you and it's going to if you die, you're going to go to hell because you did something wrong in the earth.
She said, don't do that. Don't believe that.
Yeah, don't, but my grandmother told me, never believe those things, because when you die, you're going to go to a beautiful, peaceful place. You're going to be your spirit is going to wander all over, and you're going to be the happiest spirit person in the whole wide world. There's no such thing as devil. There is no such thing as God. God's going to save you from devil.
It
Because
sounds like,
if you did 10 commandments, well, you're definitely going to go to the fire, and you're never going to be, she used to tell us these stories. I even tried digging a hole looking for a devil.
what did you find?
Nothing. I just went in a hole and I couldn't get out of the hole. My friend, my grandmother's helper, saw this sand coming up all the time, falling up, wondering. Two things I wanted to find when I started to dig a hole. One was I was looking for a devil. Then the other one was China. They told me China's down below us, and down below us is also a devil. So I was looking for the fire, and I dug and dug and dug, and I couldn't find it. So they saw this one day. One of my grandmother's helpers saw this whole pile of sand going up, and he thought, well, I better go check that out. Where's that? How come it's flying from somewhere? So he saw me. He says, "What are you doing down there?" And I said, "I can't get out, but I'm looking for fire." Fire? Yeah, and I'm looking for TKC, I said, which is China, TKC. Oh, so he pulled me out of my back here, and it took me out because I had coveralls. I was nothing but coverall mud-looking kid. I had to pull out of that place.
How old were you at the time?
I was about 9 or 8, somewhere around there, because I was looking for that devil, and I was looking because I was going to fix that devil.
Right. Well, it sounds like your grandmother was a very, very special person, that you were really, really fond of her, and that she taught you many things that were useful in life and how to navigate life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in the white world. Yeah.
Right.
And in the book, you mentioned that sobriety was a turning point for you and your ability to help others. What helped you maintain sobriety?
Sobriety?
Yeah.
Well, when I lost my kids, my kids was taken from Children's Aid, and I was already a street drug. I was on the streets. I was like what you see in Vancouver, what you see in Thunder Bay, is the homeless people or just total drunks. Ask me. I stayed in a boxcar from 1974, that year, the Christmas, into 1975, all the way 1975 till July of that summer. That's when I found sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
So most of my life, most of 9 months, I was homeless. I lived in a boxcar, didn't have no place to live. I stole from corner stores for food. My other friends, they did different jobs. There was 5 of us that lived in a boxcar. I was the one who stole in the corner stores, and the other person went and did this other job, and the other one did this, and the other one did this. And then we all come together every day. There was a few people that did the drugs and the sniffing stuff, so we got all that stuff, so we were pretty high, so we didn't feel any pain.
Mm-hmm.
And we were hungry, so I would steal food, and then we would all be eating and feeling no pain. And this guy that was looking after the boxcar told us that he wasn't going to, if he caught us allowing another person in our place, he was going to kick us out, because the place had straw bales, lots of straw bales in that boxcar. And he gave us a bucket where to burn the fire, for us to stay warm. That's how we stayed warm, because of the grass, the straw kept us really warm.
Yeah.
And we had blankets, and we had a little bit of stuff, and that's how we stayed warm. in those cold months of 75. And then that summer I found sobriety, and then I sobered up and I began to like it a little bit. And I thought, oh, this is different. But when I was in sobriety, when they asked me, I thought they were going to give me a bottle of beer and I would have to show them how to drink properly. I waited for the whole hour of my first meeting to find out what they were going to do. I waited for a needle. I waited for pills. I waited for something. All they kept saying was, oh, I'm an alcoholic. And then somebody says, oh, you got to say you're an alcoholic. And I said, why do I want to say I'm an alcoholic? Because that's the only way they're going to keep you in this meeting. That's when you keep coming to the meetings. And that'll help you stay sober. Oh, you mean I'm sitting here wasting my time, I told her, sitting here waiting for a drink. And she said, they're not going to give you a drink. All you have to say is I'm an alcoholic. And so my turn came and I said, I'm an alcoholic. And they look at me funny and I thought, oh. But then they said, come back again the next day. And I figured, well, maybe they're going to do the same thing, but this time they're going to give me something else. So I was trying every day for a little while. I was trying what they were going to do with me to stay sober.
And it worked.
It worked. And then each day, and then they assigned me to this person that kept me talking. A woman, another woman who they assigned to me. And she said, I'm going to pick you up every day from your place, going to drive you to the meeting, and I'm going to drive you back to the meeting. And I'm going to drive you back to your house. So I never had a chance to even run away from my own building to go take off somewhere. Because that was the rule from the Children's Aid. Told the lady, my best friend, if she misses one shot, you have to call us because the kids are ready for adoption.
Because they told you to get your kids back, you have to be sober.
Yep. And people told me once they take your kids away, you'll never see them again, which I know a lot of people lost their kids for good. Some were sold to the States. The kids were sold to the States. And I knew they were going to sell my kids to the States. And they told me that they were going to sell the kids to the States because there was a big need of First Nations kids up in the States. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But to me, that was horrible when they said that. And so I had to prove myself every day. And I just prayed every day, all day long. Even I went through hell and back in that house where I stayed, where that lady watched me 24/7. 3 months. 3 months of hell and back. I saw nothing but animals and snakes, and things were crawling all over the walls, and socks on the floor looked like frogs, and awful things that was coming after me. I was going through shakes and I was sick, and I was in the bathtub a couple of times just to live there because I didn't want anything to crawl into me. And then I started seeing things crawling in the bathtub, and I would just put that water through just to flush them away because I thought they were coming after me. I went through, and I was shaking, and she had to lock me in one room for her, and my sponsor had to lock me in a room for 3 days in a row because I was going crazy. I was going bananas. And they said it was gonna be like this because there was no we didn't know there was no detox to go.
Right. So you did it at home with people that cared about you and said, this is what you need to do.
Yeah. And the girl that looked after me, she was a nurse. So she never went to work for 3 months. She stayed home with me.
Wow.
She made a commitment because she was my best friend. We were best friends. But we lost our friendship after what her husband did to my granddaughter.
Right.
Later on in life. We're not best friends anymore. She's still alive. I always find out about her if she was still alive. I still pray for her. I wrote letters to her to forgive me for speaking up for my granddaughter, for fighting for my granddaughter's life, but she never responded. She took his side. She went to court with him. She told the judge that the granddaughters were asking for it and they were throwing shoes at between his legs, and I got him going. And then so
Well,
they,
it's disappointing, but it sounds like you guys still have lots of love for her.
well, I do still love her a lot
Mhm.
because out of respect for what she did for me in my sobriety, I can't stop loving her no matter what.
Yeah.
She's another human being who helped me.
Mhm.
She doesn't like me right now. That's her problem, not mine. I've did everything I could to be friends with her, but she didn't want it, so that's okay.
Yeah. So
I
in
always pray for her. And you have to forgive people that did you wrong in order for you to stay sober. You
yeah,
have to have forgiveness in your heart
right.
and a
Yeah.
lot of love.
And you
And
did
that's what
what
I
you
have.
had to do. Yeah.
Pardon?
You did what you had to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so in you just mentioned also earlier that you were using drugs or alcohol for pain, and in your memoir you share about many and really too many instances of male violence, and you were in a violent relationship with your husband who you never chose to marry.
Mhm.
I wanted to know what helped you leave your husband.
I ran, well, I that was a horrible way that happened was he was coming home and I happened to look out in the window. I mean, not happen. I looked out in the window and I saw him going to his mother's house. And then I saw him coming out of his mother's house, coming home. And the way he walked, I knew I was going to get it. I
Oh,
was going to get beaten. So I tried to be nice. And then his nephew came in with his girlfriend. They came in, they sat there. I told him, you know, you guys should leave because he's gonna do something with me. I could tell. And then his nephew said, no, I'll stop him. Don't worry. He's not going to do that. When we're here, we're visitors. Don't be afraid. And I said, oh, it's going to happen. I said, I just know it. So he come in, he acted really normal. He said hi to his nephew and the girlfriend and chit-chatted. And then he stood there and watched me. He says, where's my tea? And I said, I'm boiling water right now. And then he says, well, get busy. And then he tells, "See, if you want your woman to treat you nice, this is what you gotta do," he said to him. He put a lighter up my butt and he light up my bum with fire. It started to burn my clothing on my behind, on my back and my lower part. So that's what you do. And I said, I'm trying to put it out. And then when he started laughing, he bent over, he looked at me, says, I was only kidding. I was going to put it out. I just got to show him something. And then I grabbed the kettle while it was boiling. I grabbed it, I turned around and I threw it at him and I got him right in the forehead. And then he fell over on the floor. And then there was a 2x4 that was sitting by the stove. I grabbed the 2x4, I put it on his neck, and I sat on him. And I was going to just sit on him until he died. But then Peter ran out the door. He ran out the door to go get other people to scream for help. And there was 5 men that came in and took me out of him. That's how much strength I must have had. It
yeah.
took 5 people to take me out of him because I was so angry and I was so tired and I was just, all I wanted to do is I had enough.
Yeah.
And they took me out of him with my 2x4. They took me out like a bug. I just did not let the thing go. I just hung on. And they finally, and I guess they help him. The other 2 people help him to get off where he was choked. And they stayed with him. And an old man stayed with him and says, you're staying right there. We're taking her somewhere because you've already done so much damage to her that she's
Yeah.
Never going to be the same. You burn her bum, what are you going to do? She's all burnt up and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, and then I ran in a bush after they let me go. They said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I just ran." He said, "Go ahead, hide. We're not going to tell them where you ran to." So I went and hid in the bush, and I never came out of the bush for a long time until somebody was screaming and saying, "Money, this is us. This is me. I got sandwiches. I got food." They were just walking around to give me food and water.
Right.
Finally, I came out and they saw me and they just grabbed me and hugged me. And I always wanted to cry that because that was the first time I ever felt somebody really, really cared for me in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was in the middle of nowhere hiding and I didn't know what happened to my babies because I left them in with him. And it was horrible. And then when I remember when they brought food to me, and they said, "Your babies are doing fine. We got somebody else looking after them and you can have your babies." And people made a note that they're going to put you on a train with your babies and whatever you're going to take. But you can't take your dog with you because your dog has to stay. The train's not going to accept the dog on the train.
Mm.
They're going to give you money as far as Long Lac, and then you go to Geraldton. And then from there, somebody will help you.
And how
So,
old were the kids?
well, my kid, my son was probably 2.5 or 3.5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Could barely walk. He was very tiny because he was born 7 months early before his time because his dad beat the crap out of me and was dragging me around and kicking the shit out of me when I went into labor. And they had to put me on a train to go have my baby because I had uh, I had him too early, and he almost died at birth. He had to be in an
Yeah.
incubator for 3 months after.
Mm.
He wasn't ready.
Yeah. Too early.
Too early. He's still very slow right now because he didn't have enough oxygen in his brain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure you felt when you were in the woods hiding like that, it felt really isolating and not knowing about the future and what would happen next, but you had to flee.
Yeah, and my daughter, the oldest one, was 1 year older than my son, so she probably was 3 years old and he was two,
Mm.
something like that.
And so speaking of children, so you said it, you're a mother yourself, but you also fostered and took care of a lot of other children, whether they were children of other people or children of your family members, and also through the foster parent system. Why was that important for you, and what did it bring you in your life to have so many children?
Well, once I came to Thunder Bay with my kids and they were growing up, and then I got my own apartment. I was going to work one day, learning to work, to go on it. I was learning to go to work. So my first job was doing the big book, Alcoholics Anonymous. I was making $2 an hour translating. So one day when I was catching the bus back home, I saw this young girl standing and she looked like she really needed help. I asked her, "What's the matter with you?" I told her. "It's a beautiful day, you know. You should smile," I told her. She said, "Oh, there's nothing to smile about. I don't know where to go." She said, I got no home. I ran away from my home. "Well, come home with me. I'll pay you away." I told her, so I paid her away and she came home with me. And I fed her for the night, for the day. I said, "Tonight you can stay in my basement, but tomorrow morning you're gonna have to get out, get out of my house. I'll give you breakfast and then you take off." Okay. Then so she did that. The next then the next night she came back again. So after that she was doing that for a week. And then later she told me there was other homeless kids. Well, I said, they can come, but you can all sleep in the basement. I said, after that, I started doing that, having the basement full of teenagers that didn't have no place to sleep. And all I did was bought a bunch of extra blankets from Salvation Army and a bunch of pillows. And then in the mornings, I would kick them out and told them to get out of here and don't come back till late at night, because then I don't want to get evicted.
Right. I mean, you basically had your own shelter in your basement.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did that I don't know, I just liked the kids. I didn't want them to be homeless. I know what it was like to be homeless.
Yeah.
I knew what it was like not to have a bed to sleep in, you know. And I know what it was like with parents with their kids.
Um, and we know that Indigenous women are overrepresented in male violence against women. And this is also what we see here at Vancouver Rape Relief in our frontline work. Statistics Canada also shows that Indigenous women and women of color are overrepresented among women experiencing income instability. And you did mention to us that you are critical of Canada's apology to Indigenous people. I would like to know, what would Canada need to do in order to make that apology actually real?
Well, if they really meant that apology, I wish, you know, like I often say, okay, when is this the apology? They say they're sorry for putting us through residential school and all that stuff for a lot of people, and that they would. I haven't seen anything they have done yet. I haven't seen anything that's been done yet through residential school. I know they gave money to people, but money doesn't help people. What we needed, what they would have done is, if they had more shelters for homeless people, if they have more shelters for the youth, the young people, like anywhere from 12 or 10 years old,
right,
to 20 years old shelter. Between there, that would be a nice gap, because when they help young people, they help them from 16 years of age to up. Then there's another big gap. There's another gap between 7-year-old and 16-year-old. There's no program available for these kids that are already full-blown alcoholic at 12 years of age, 10 years of age. And they're sniffing out there. There's no program for these sniffers. Only adults.
Right.
So there's something wrong with this picture. Now, if they were going to do home for First Nations people, that's what I would ask the government to give back some of those to have programs available for the young kids that are already into drugs and alcohol at the age of 7 years old to 16-year-old. These kids are already full-blown alcoholics and full-blown sniffers, but there's no program for them. So they end up either dying or just continue going on a big street. That's why there's so much street kids out there.
Yeah.
Because I've seen some of them. In my own community, I've seen 7-year-old and 8-year-old sniffing. Where did they get that information from?
Right. And as you said, you were doing it to keep the pain, not to feel the pain, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah. When you get beat up by your own family, or you get molested by somebody and your family doesn't believe you, what do? You're in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And the best way to do it is to numb it.
And the harms that the government and that the state has done to Indigenous people and Indigenous women I was listening to Cindy Blackstock, and she's telling us about all the reports and the commissions that have been done, and it's been exposed, but still concretely what is being done. So I totally agree with you. It needs to happen. We need to have concrete resources, concrete programs. Yeah.
Yeah, and they need to have youth shelters available. They need to have shelters available for the young.
And affordable housing also.
Yeah.
Affordable, stable housing. Yeah.
Like what about the kids that leave, say the kids that leave from Children's Aid Society. At the age of 16, they're kicked out.
Yeah.
If they don't want to go, if the parents don't take them back, they get kicked out. They
Yeah.
don't have nowhere else to go. They don't even give them a startup of anything. They don't even get money to start somewhere.
Yeah. To be independent, they have
Yeah,
nothing.
to be independent. They don't even train them how to survive out there.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. We need to have something available for the young people
Hmm.
to train
And
them.
you're right that like it starts very young too. And if we don't do anything for children, then um, how are they gonna get old? What's gonna happen when they get older? It's just
Yeah.
gonna get worse. Yeah. Um, so I wanted also to talk about a little bit. So you came out as a lesbian, you mentioned, and you came out in the 80s. What challenges did you face living as a lesbian life?
Uh, what's that again? You're
Um,
not moving anymore. Your lips
yeah,
aren't moving.
it looks like I'm frozen, but my speaker is gonna work on it. Can you?
Okay. Uh, what did you say again? What
I
happened?
What challenges did you face living as a lesbian?
What challenges do I have as a lesbian woman?
Yes. It,
Well, I get lonely. I don't have a friend of my own kind, like a native friend. Most of the straight people don't like me because I'm a lesbian, and they're afraid to walk with me because they might get my disease and they're going to become lesbians.
wow.
So that's one of the things I feel and they also get ashamed of me. Like, I'm a good dancer. And they mock me at the dances when I go to AA dances. I used to go to AA dances all the time,
Mhm.
and I would have fun going dancing and just dancing, no alcohol, nothing, just having a nice, good dance. I would dance. Nobody would ever come and ask me to dance. So I just said, well, heck with this shit. I'm just going to get up and dance with the beat. So I go there and I just dance all by myself. Who gives a shit about what everybody else thinks? They all look at me, oh, there, she's got nobody to dance with. Isn't she ashamed? And I don't care. I'm just dancing. I'm listening to music because my body cannot stop moving if I hear good music. And so I just dance and I have fun. And then they start mocking me the way I dance. They try to do it the way I dance and they laugh and they make fun of me. I'll give you one example. One time they were just making fun of me. They were having such a good time making fun of me. A young guy came up to dance with me, a very beautiful, handsome young guy from Cairo Center, which is a dry center for the young people that went for treatment.
Mm.
It's where after treatment they go to live at this house, sobriety house. So all these young dudes were living in this place called Kairos place. So this young guy come and dances. I gotta come and dance with you. I hope you don't mind, he says. And I said, no, that's nice. You join me. And then he danced with me and we're dancing, we're having a good time. Another guy comes and dances with me. Pretty soon I had about 10 young men dancing me and I'm in the middle and they're dancing with me. They're taking turns coming in a circle with me in the middle and we're all having good time. I think they did that because they saw what these other people did to me
Mm.
when they were mocking me and they were making fun of me because they try to dance like me and then they start laughing and I didn't care and they saw that I didn't give a shit what they thought of me. So they came and joined me and they really, really liked dancing with me. And they told me that after, we really like dancing with you because you're a lot of fun and you're so brave to do that.
You
I want
don't
to be
care
like
about what
you.
people think.
Yeah, that's what the guy says. You're so brave, you don't care what anybody thinks of you. And I
And
said,
where
yeah,
was that? Was that a dance hall or?
at the dance hall, at the treatment center dance hall.
I see.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was so wonderful. And so when I say for a lesbian, other being a lesbian, that's the way that I feel about my life. I don't have no best friend. I
Mm.
used to have best friend. She was Native woman. She was a lesbian for a while, but then she got tired of her girlfriend used to cheat on her, so she went back and went back with her husband. She did it for her parents because her parents wanted her back home in that place and wanted her to go back with her husband because being a Christian, she thought she was going to go to hell for being a lesbian. So
Mhm.
she went back with her husband. She's living with him now, and she hasn't talked to me ever since then.
Mm.
She doesn't call me up because, well, she did call me several times after she moved away, but she kept saying, "You being who you are, you're going to go to hell, you know, Minnie. You're going to, because you're a lesbian, you're going to go to hell, and that's a bad thing, what you're doing." And I just didn't, I told her, if you want to be my best friend, you have to just accept me as who I am. I said, if you don't want anything to do with me, I understand. I will always love you, I told her. I will always be here. So then I heard her daughter died. What did I do? I reached out to her to wish her condolences that I was really praying for her and that I do smudging for her and her family. She sent me a little note to thank me. That was it, you know?
So quite,
So
yeah, isolating. There was a time in the book where you talk about a women's group that you found, and there were other lesbians there, and that was helpful when you came out, 'cause gave you a community. Is that right?
yes, and they're on the other side of town. So I
Mm.
went to the meetings there. I used to go there, and I didn't mind them. But they all had couples and they all had their own problems. And then when I went to catch the bus, nobody would give me a ride. So I almost got attacked twice over there because I was all alone
Mm.
and I
Yeah.
had to catch the bus. And I thought, you know what? It's not worth me going over there just to be with these women. Nobody wants to give me a ride. What's the point? So I
Yeah.
quit going over there. I'm scared the other side of town. It's in the
Far.
south side.
Yeah.
I'm in the north side and I like my north side. I feel comfortable and safe in my side of town than I do where on the other side is.
Yeah. Well, I have Hilla here saying that she messaged me. She says, if all the lesbians are going to go to hell, then you're going to go to hell together, and that will be fun, and you'll be with her. So,
Yes, I will be with them later.
yeah. Um, so just to talk about the book a little bit, what pushed you to write this book? Why did you want to share your story?
Well, I got tired of people saying to me, um, you are lucky, Minnie, you never went to residential school. And I said, oh, is that how you see me? Yeah, you're so lucky you didn't go there. We went and we got treated really bad and awful. And I said, well, you know what? I said, I had my own residential school in Umbabaka. And she looks at me, she said, what do you mean? When you kids were taken away while you're having fun with the nuns over there and the priests,
Mhm.
your families really treated me awful. They raped me, they molested me, they made me be their babysitter, they made me do, they hated me because I was alive and well. And they did that with me and three other people that was like me that didn't make it over there. There was four of us that didn't make it to residential school, maybe five of us. I think there was five of us that didn't make it. I said, but we all got treated really shitty and treated really horrible from your families. And yet they expected us to babysit for them for free. We did all that and
Mhm.
they treated us badly. And we're the ones that I think we got worse than what you guys got, I told them. So, but they didn't like that very much. Then
Yeah.
when my book came out, now I have a little respect.
Mm.
They
You
don't tell
wanted
me
to
that
show.
anymore.
You wanted to show that you also had a hard life, and that it's not
Yeah,
a competition, and the resentment is not coming from you. That being mad at you or resentful at you is not it's not the person to be mad at. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not the right target. That's what I meant.
I didn't want them to think that I was the only one who didn't get
Yeah.
to go and didn't feel what they felt,
Hmm.
because I wanted them to feel what I felt,
Yeah.
because they had the same treatment as I did.
Right.
Mine was just different. Mine was by their families.
Right. And you told us that you're actually writing another book. What will your other book be about?
Well, I was going to make it as, I was thinking as part 2 of Two-Spirit Journey, but then I don't know. I have other things in mind now, because when I finish this writing, um, I have a, I have to choose somebody to write for me to be my typist, because I can't do typing.
Right.
And my English, so the person has to write like Mary did for me,
Right. Yeah.
my co-writer. That's what I'm looking for. And this person said she would help me, but I haven't heard back from her yet, because she just started a new job. So I'm not sure where she's coming.
Mm,
And then next summer, I'm also planning, I was hoping to apply for a grant to go back to Umbabaka and make a movie of a documentary of a place where it all happened. So I don't know if I want to add those 2 items together, or just create another book and then do the Two-Spirit Journey as a documentary movie.
well, I'm sure we would all love to see that. That's a great idea. Lots of options.
Yes.
Yeah, lots of projects. I'm going to take some questions from the audience now. So I'm
Okay.
letting know to our listeners that they can, once again, they can write it in the comment section in the chat, comment section on Facebook, and in the chat on Zoom. And someone is asking, in your book, you talked about predatory men in AA. Can you talk a little bit more about what women need from the state and their communities to get out of addiction in a safe environment?
Well, if you're going to AA, I want to say something about the program itself. That program itself, when you read the 12 steps and the big book, those are very helpful. It helped me, and it still helps me. I still read those once in a while, some pages. I follow everything what it says. I do the program, the 12-step program, and I read the 12 traditions to keep me alive. Those are my helpful. I don't go to meetings very much anymore, because too many things happen in AA that I can't be part of AA anymore, because there are men that are out looking for women to rape, to have sex with.
Yeah.
That's what some people go there for. Some people will tell you, I'll give you a ride home, and because you get trusting, you think, wow, sobriety, this is a best program, best, everybody's being honest, so nobody's going to hurt you. I had a man who was 7 years sobriety than me, who totally raped me and took me out of the community, out into the highway, and raped me and left me behind, because I jumped out of the car. He tried to put me back in, but I didn't want to go back in, so he just drove off, and I got picked up on the highway by a couple of an old man and an old lady, and then they took me to the hospital. And but I walked out of the hospital because they weren't going to do anything. I didn't have any witness,
Yeah.
and I just went home after that and soaked in the bathtub for several hours and tried to clean myself. And that was my sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
That was one lesson. Then over the years, I kept trying to go, and I was going to squeal on him. I saw the same guy. He tried. He said, "Forgive me for what I did to you before." And I said, "Okay, I'll forgive you." And then he says, and I needed help for someone to deliver the mattress, box of spring and mattress from this certain place. He said he would deliver it. So he brought it with somebody. He said, my helper's going to help me. So I thought he really meant it, that he wanted to me to forgive him. So I did forgive him. So he came into the house with my bed, with the bed, and he put it on the floor. And then he told the other guy, you can go now, wait for me in the truck. I'm going to talk to her for a couple minutes. And then he did. And he was saying, I'm so sorry. And then he grabbed me again. He says, I can't wait to be with you on this bed and blah, blah, blah. He tried that. And I said, that's it. I just screamed my head off. And he said, okay. And he tried to try it. And then I grabbed something else. Oh, a cane, my white cane, my CNIB cane. I grab it, and by his shoulder, I said, I'm going to yank it, and I'm going to yank your neck, I told him. And he said, oh, no, 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 no. I said, okay, I'm sorry. So he got up, and I said, I started hitting him with my cane on his legs and feet, wherever I can hit him. He said, okay, I'm out of here. He took off. I said, holy cow, can't you forgive me? And I said, well, I don't want that kind of forgiveness.
No.
So that was horrible. So I never want to go back to AA again. I don't care how many years I'm missing, and a lot of people in the program have said, well, you're going to fall off the wagon. I haven't fallen off yet. And because, like I said, you got to work your 12 steps from the books. That helped. That's very helpful. So you don't really need
On your own, yeah.
people. Yeah, all on your own. I got my helper. The Great Spirit is helping me. I believe in the Great Spirit lives in my heart and teaches me how to be sober.
Unfortunately, we know that from our crisis line and the women that we work with here, that women have been attacked or not felt safe or assaulted going to AA. So it's unfortunately not a unique experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we're calling for women-only treatment and recovery center, so that women can use those services while being safe. And you said they need to be accessible too. For you, it's also too far. Well, you're talking about the women's center and also like accessibility too of those treatments. There's also another question about, in your book you talk about the women-only music festivals, one called the Michigan Women's Festival that you went to in the late 80s and early 90s. So can you tell us a little bit about your experience? I think it was really important for you.
Oh, yes. For the first time I heard there was only women only. And it was a bunch of lesbians run by lesbian. And so I thought, okay. And then somebody says, let's go there for the first time in our lives. We went there together, my friend and I. And it was so exciting. And I went there. And, I heard people talk about naked women running around, but I never believed that. I had to go see it to believe it. So I went over there, and my little tent was all set up and everything. So we did that, and I stayed in my own little area. And then I went walking down to go find out, okay, I heard about a bunch of those big green vegetables. They look like green vegetable, but they got water in it. Watermelon, big watermelon. And they said there was this tree that had thousands and thousands of watermelon. So I said, I'm going to go get one for myself because I can eat one whole one because I really love watermelons. So I went and I saw a whole bunch of watermelons. While I was sitting there, I was holding this big watermelon. All of a sudden, I see this naked lady goes by. She only had maybe, she had a little, a branch in front of her crotch. That's it. So her boobs were hanging out and her whole body. She was walking. I went, oh my God. I dropped my watermelon because then another one comes by, totally naked. And I go, and they're just so happy walking together. And I'm going, holy shucks. That's the first time I ever saw naked bodies. And then I saw a whole bunch of other people after, and some were just dressed up and wore shorts. I was wearing shorts and t-shirt. And I thought, holy jeez, it was awesome. And then I met a young lady named, she used to be a singer. She sang, I forget her name. She was a famous singer from Edmonton, a young native famous, she was native person, but she looked like a white girl. Anyway, yeah, so
Oh,
I met
great.
her there.
And someone else is asking, why do you call yourself, or why is it important for you to call yourself a lesbian in light of all the discrimination and the pressures that lesbians face?
Why do I call myself a lesbian?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I like the word lesbian.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like, well, I'm a lesbian. I'm a two-spirit also, but two-spirit for me is more spiritual
Mm,
on my part. But lesbian is a perfect word for me. I don't know what else to call it in our language.
right.
Well, I call it Nija Jijak in my language, but Nija Manitou Gekino Mag means two-spirit two-spirit goddess is helping me. That's what
Mm.
I say.
Someone else is asking, can you be a two-spirited person and not necessarily be a lesbian or a gay man?
Can you be a two-spirit and not be a lesbian?
Not be lesbian or gay, yeah.
If you're, it depends. If you're a native person and you were born two-spirit, that's who you are.
Mm,
And if you don't want to use that word term lesbian, then don't use it. Then you don't have to go with girls if you don't want to go with girls. It's up to you. It's up to individual.
mm-hmm. It's
If you want to
personal.
be, if you want to be celibate or whatever they call it, you don't go with nobody. That's fine too, and you can be a two-spirit. But
Mm-hmm.
you have to be First Nations.
Right, for sure. Ugh. Another listener is saying, Celine Paquette is saying, truly inspiring. Thank you for sharing your story. Considering all of the hardships and challenges that you faced, are there any specific things you do to stay positive in your everyday life?
Well, what keeps me to stay positive is I talk to my Great Spirit, and I do first thing in the morning. I acknowledge who I am. I look in the mirror. I say, "Bonjour, minogijeb mani, kiminoya, kiminojish." I say that means good morning. You're beautiful. You're gorgeous. You're a wonderful person. Today you're going to have a good day. That's what I
Wow.
say every morning. I thank the Great Spirit for keeping me alive through the night.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And you are wonderful. You are. I agree.
And then I thank when I go to bed at night, also thank the Great Spirit for my big day I had,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully to wake up the next day. I don't worry about it. I don't worry about feeling like, well, I may never wake up tomorrow. I don't worry about those kind of things.
Mm-hmm. There's everybody's loving your words. Some of them have read your books. Some comments from Kathy. Thank you for sharing your heart and your truth. From Jennifer, thank you for empowering all of us. And another question also, and you talk about it in the book, you have lived for most of your life with a visual impairment, and
Mm-hmm.
you're also awaiting a kidney transplant, and we're going to talk about it at the end. But how has disability impacted your life? And would you say there's a lack of resources for people with disabilities?
Well, yes, there is, because I've been visually impaired. They took my driver's license. I had a car. I had everything you could dream of. I had a house. I had a car. I had a good job, government job. I was working for the government and I was driving. I had 80 clients I was seeing. And then when they told me they had to take my driver's license because I'm visually impaired and that I was going to go blind slowly, and that it's not good for me to drive because my per vision is going faster than the seeing. I can only see like this, you know. I could
Mm-hmm.
only see a little bit, and I got maybe 10% working on both eyes. Not very much left. Um, but mostly I train myself to work with tools or using my fingers or my my feelers. And I have feelers on the side. The senses all come out. My nose is my best. I got the best nose in town. People call me up to go smell their house because they feel like there's something there, and
Oh,
I do. And I find things that are very smelly in their place. Like one person's cat had died somewhere in a basement somewhere. They didn't know when they moved into that apartment, and I was rotting somewhere. And there was a human remain somewhere in their building, and I smelled that. So I got real good nose.
yeah.
Not very good vision though, and I got good ears. And sometimes I choose not to hear somebody because I
That's
don't
very
want to.
smart. Yeah.
Yeah, I do that on purpose because I don't
Yeah.
want to listen to anybody.
Yeah.
But
Um,
being in visually impaired, that's where it's hard sometimes. Is when you want to go grocery store or you want to go shopping. I have to rely on a bus, and it takes hours to get me places.
yeah.
So I don't have very many people that will just say, okay, I don't have one helper to say to me, I'll be your helper forever. I don't have one of those. But I have to scrounge around and look for somebody who's got a car and wants to
Right.
drive me, and then I can ask them to drive me, and I can pay their gas or whatever. I don't mind doing that. I love giving back when somebody gives me a ride.
Hmm. So actually, there's someone on the same topic asking, can you comment on how a lot of your activism that you did, people expected you to do it for free, and lots of agencies value your language, your connection, and your culture, but expect you to do it for free.
Yes, they do expect me to do things for free. I do it for free when I'm doing protesting against somebody, protesting
Mm.
for somebody. As of this month coming up in December, I'm going to be protesting for Barbara Kentner, who died by the trailer hitch. And we're going to do a little protest for her before the verdict comes in on the 14th. We just want to remind the people that to let them know that we're still we're still following Barbara, and that we're still with her until her until the verdict comes in.
Mhm.
We're not expecting that she's going to get justice, because there's no justice for First Nations people when they do something wrong. What they do is they find a key and they throw the key away, and you rot in jail.
Yeah,
But if you're middle class and you got a lot of money and you got good lawyers and you're
you can
rich,
get out.
and
Yeah,
you can get out within a few months and do
yeah,
it again.
yeah,
That's what I see Canada does all the time.
yeah. And imprisonment should not be the solution for social inequalities, for addictions,
Yep.
for violence against women, for this is not the place where it's going to get fixed.
Yeah. See, our First Nations way back, and when my grandmother was alive, she said they never did. They had their own way of working with people that did crime. If the person never learned anything from a crime, they would walk that person out of their community and expect
Mhm.
that person never to come back.
Yeah,
And my grandmother will often say sometimes those people are the ones people see. They call them Sasquatch, or they call them other names, or boogeyman. They become something because they have to live in the wilderness all by themselves. They become the monstrous of their own.
yeah.
Whatever they did comes back at them, and maybe they're still existing out there. She said, we don't know. Or some people will just die out there because they don't know how to survive.
Mhm. No, that's a very good point about the different ways to get justice and what Indigenous communities have been doing. There is a comment. Celine is also saying, thank you for sharing from one Ojibwa Cree woman to another.
All right. Miigwech.
Yeah, so
For
what people might, that a listener might not know is that you're still, and you just talked about it, about the case that you are going to do an action for. We just
Mm-hmm.
put the link to get more information on the chat and on the comments. So if people want to look at that, but you haven't stopped being active in your community. Tell
I'm
us.
always going to be activist. Right now, I'm also fighting with the police department about, I have young people I work with. The first young people is Tebuemon de Mose, when it's called. They're the group of people. We go out at night, and on the weekends we drive around at night. There's a whole bunch of us. We take turns. We don't all do it in one night, but there's a whole bunch of us that take turns to go out in the community, look for homeless that need help, and whoever we see on the street or somewhere that's being taken advantage of, we take them to the crisis shelter or to the hospital or to their home or to their safe place. That's nighttime work we do. And then we pick up, we get a lot of, I pick up socks and mitts and toques for the winters to give them that kind of stuff. And then if we find people with no shoes, we pick up shoes from Salvation Army and give them shoes. We carry a little bit stuff around with us when we travel at night so they can have that, so they can be warm. And then we also have sandwiches and water available for them. They're called Tebuemon Pimusewen. And then it got so large that we extended another name, Not One More Death. The other half is Not One More Death. And we do if you go online and look for Mani Chacaby on CBC, you'll find a lot of my activism there.
Yes.
What I've done.
And there's a Facebook page also for Not One More Death.
Yeah.
You can follow.
And I'm part of that too. So
amazing.
Actually, one of my friends is creating a website for me. She's going to create a website to ask for extra funding to have money, because if I find a bigger apartment, I'm not going to be able to afford to eat, because if I have to pay most of it, which is going to cost me anywhere from $800 to $1,000 a month, my rent, I won't have very much money left to pay for my food. So that's what the website we're trying to build is, because I do need a bigger space, because I might go on dialysis, and once I go on dialysis, I'm going to need a bigger space, because this place I live here there's not enough room for dialysis.
Yes, you were telling us you're going to do this from home, so you need more space. And I want to mention, we're going to put in the chat and in the comments the page to support your GoFundMe for your kidney transplant. So people can go in there and support you as well.
And then if you see the web, you'll see they're going to create a web page for me where you can order my artwork.
Oh,
once
great.
a month you can donate $5 to $25 or $50. I think we're going three ways to add. If you want to donate to help me, whatever we're saying. And once a month I'll be saying something about storytelling. I'm going to do that. And then it's going to show what the kind of work I do. Like I do a lot of mask making on people's healing work. Say you, for example, you say, Mani, can I hire you to do my face? And I said, are you ready to work on your personal life? And then you say, yes. Then I'll say, okay, come to my place, and then I'll do your face, and I'll lay you down, and I'll ask you, okay, now you got to let go of all your pain and sorrow and everything that you feel that you want to get rid of from your body. And then you start doing it, and then I put on a little music, and then you do your part, and I do my part, and I do the singing of the drum, and then I do your face, and then I make your mask. Then once it's out, I take your mask, I keep it for 3 days at my home, and I smudge it for 3 days in a row. And then at the end of smudging, it tells me the colors it's going to be. Usually when I see your face, I'll say, oh, I know what color I would like to put, but I have to do it with smudge because it gives me a different, it gives me a true meaning of spirits.
Right. Great. So they
If I
can.
choose it, if I choose it, it'll be my colors. But I don't want to give my colors to somebody's face. I feel it's very spiritual work I do.
Hmm.
And then when I do the other kind of work, I do bundling ceremony. I bundle that person up and I do a ceremony on that person from all the way around their body, mind, and soul with the drum. I don't do it. I just hold the drum and the drum does all the work.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's a beautiful work.
Yeah. You're so active. So if
Mhm.
people want to donate to you, we put the link on the website,
Yeah,
on our website to make a donation. People can also donate to us and we'll transfer it to you. Just write in the comment when you donate on the Vancouver Rape Relief account and say that it's for Mani. Some other comments. Thank you for your powerful testimony. And Catherine is saying, amazing work with you. Thank you for spending your precious time sharing your life stories with such candor.
and if anybody ever feels like just to chat with me someday and down the road, you can give them my information.
Great. Yeah, Facebook
Hmm.
or email, huh?
Yeah, email me or something. I don't mind setting time for somebody.
Yeah. It's you were telling me that you really act from a place of love, and every time I talk to you, I just have so much love in your life and love in your work, and that's where you start in order to help others.
Yeah, I don't do it because I want to impress somebody because
Mhm.
that doesn't go very far.
Yeah.
I believe in the Great Spirit works through me. It's not really me that's doing the work. It's another another thing that's doing the work.
Mhm.
And they're using my body, my mind, and my soul. That's why I was here for. I think that's why I was made. That's what I believe.
Yeah. And I think people, like, even if they didn't know you before today, they like now they know that. Now they can feel it.
Yes.
I think so
Yeah,
from
I
talking.
hope so.
Yeah.
I love everybody. Everybody should have a good life.
Mhm.
We shouldn't have to suffer all the time.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you so. There's more comments. So here, yes. Michelle is saying fabulous. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I've learned much today. Um, let me check some more comments and. It's an honor to listen to this conversation from Elizabeth. Thank you for your beautiful and kind spirit. Mackenzie is saying, I will take you up on that call. I needed to hear to need your heart today. I needed to hear your heart today. Amazing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And if there are First Nations listening, I wish you guys all the best and hope there are some. Wouldn't mind meeting other lesbian First Nations once in a while.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
don't meet very many of them.
Yeah. Well, if
They're
anybody of you
probably,
listening,
well, they're probably all married and they're too busy.
yeah. Can find some time for a phone call. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Everybody's saying, like, lots of people say what an inspiration, and I've learned a lot today. So people are very good. Kathy's saying also just so grateful. So you
Thank
both.
you.
I think I'm really glad. I think I after I read the book, I wanted everybody to know about you and to be moved the way I was, and I think you did that today as well. So thank you so much.
I'm glad my book is helping people because
Mhm.
we need more people. We need more storytellers out there. We need more the true story, like even your background, even if you're white, doesn't matter who you are, but if you have a background that you're suppressing your life and it's draining you and holding you down, and you got to get rid of it. And
Mhm.
the best way to get rid of it is to write it, to tell somebody the true story of your life. Then your kids and your families will follow that,
Yeah.
and everybody will start feeling freedom then. That's how I got my freedom.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, Hilas is saying, I can't promise you First Nation women, but we can create a group of lesbians to connect via Zoom.
All right.
We can try to
Miigwech.
do that. Yeah, yeah, reach out to us. And we really hope to host you also in person when the pandemic is over, to come to Vancouver to
Oh,
meet.
I would love to go over there,
Yeah, that would be
visit
great.
people. It would
Mhm,
be nice.
mhm. Great, and a reminder that if you want to participate in the draw, you can send us a message on Facebook or send us an email at info@rapereliefshelter.bc.ca and mention that you want Manny's book and you want to be in the draw. We'll put the link, also we put a bunch already, but you can find the link for the kidney transplant campaign and donation on our website as well. So thank you so much for tuning in, everybody on Zoom and on Facebook. This video will be available immediately on Facebook and
Oh,
later
can you
on our
send
website.
me a copy?
Oh, for sure, yes, I will send it to
Okay.
you. So you can share it also with your
Okay.
community. And I invite everybody also to watch tomorrow's event. It will be called The Impact of Pornography on Women. It's at 11 a.m. In Vancouver. I will be your host with my co-host, Danny. So looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, once again, live on Facebook and on Zoom at 11 a.m. For all the details and the links, you can visit our website, rapereliefshelter.bc.ca. Thank you so much, Manny. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you.